Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be addressing the question of how much a chain link fence costs. About a year ago, I installed a chain link fence at my first house and I spent about $3,000. Now the fence, it covers my entire backyard. You know, our lot is about a quarter acre or so. About half of that is fenced off. And so I've got, probably about a half dozen terminal posts and then probably about 20 to 25 line posts, and I have one gate, black vinyl coated fencing, and I got it all at Menards. I also bought about 75 bags of quickset concrete. Now you would think that with spending that much money that the fence must be indestructible, and it looks great, and I don't think there's any worries about rust. It's coated with vinyl and with paint, and it looks great. But I will say the gauge of steel they used for the the top rails and the posts is just not very durable. It's very thin, and I feel like I could jump and do a cannonball in between my line posts and it would deform and bend my line posts. I don't even know if I'd feel comfortable hopping my fence there unless I was like right on the line post. Then I could probably get away with it, but if I was anywhere in between, I'd probably end up bending the top rail. With chain link fabric, often they'll have great discounts on the fabric. Like I think I got 50-foot roll of 4 foot by 50 foot 9 gauge half vinyl half metal kind of fabric, and that costed me only maybe like $100, which I thought was amazing, right? I can get all of my fabric that I need for my whole backyard for like just a couple $100. And I thought, my mind, surely to get everything else, it's not going to cost that much to get some rails, right? To get some hardware. Boy, was I so wrong. Guys, they will get you. You need a lot of like random bits and pieces, a lot of caps, a lot of, end caps. You need your tension bar, you need your different kinds of posts and all your nuts and bolts and wires and tension band and tension wire and top rails, line posts, terminal posts. They often charge quite a lot for the rails and the posts. I think for the black coated vinyl line post that I got, 6 foot or so, costed me about $20 a pop. And that adds up. When you have to get, 20 to 30 line posts, that adds up really quick. And when you need just as many top rails, like 20 top rails, and they each cost $20 a pop, that adds up quick. And then the terminal posts as well. And then all the other little things you need, each hardware bag that you need for each line post and each terminal post, that could cost quite a bit. So all in all, I spent about $3,000. Now for the second time I put in fencing, it cost me a ton less, and I ended up getting a fence that is a lot more durable. And so I have 100 foot of fencing, and it only costed me about $600 total, maybe even closer to $550. Now this fence is not vinyl coated, but it is a lot more durable than the other fence because the line post, the terminal post, and the top rail are substantially thicker than the posts you'd buy at Menards, Lowe's, or Home Depot. And the way I found those posts was I called around to these steel manufacturing plants and I asked them, like, do you sell anything like line posts for fencing? And they're like, no, we don't. But one of them knew a guy that did, and he had a farm supply company. So I called him, and he had fence posts, and he could order them from another supplier for however thick you wanted it. And their prices were literally like half as expensive as Lowe's would be. Plus, they had more options because you could get special orders for ridiculously thick posts. And so it really depends on what route you go. It costs a lot more money to get vinyl coated fencing. It might cost 1.5 to 2 times as much to get vinyl coated fencing than it does just to have galvanized steel. Now if you go for the thicker gauged fence mesh that has the smaller diamonds, you're going to pay more money for that. At Menards, it costs an insane amount of money to get a 6 foot, 50 foot long mesh roll that's 9 gauge. It costs like $300. That's insane. At the farm supply company, it would only cost me to upgrade my fence that I got here, that's 11 gauge, to upgrade that to 9 gauge, which is twice as heavy, like twice as much metal basically. It would only cost me about $1 extra per foot. So only about $100 extra to get 100 foot of this ridiculously strong fence mesh. Another thing you might consider doing to save money is to buy regular concrete. Now, I know it's super popular to use instant post concrete mix or quick setting concrete mix, but that can cost quite a bit. Like for a 50-pound bag, it might cost, $6, or if you're buying it from a local store, it might cost closer to $10 per bag. But if you go to a big box store like Lowe's, you could probably buy a regular 60-pound bag of concrete for about $3. Now, the hardness of the concrete is pretty comparable after 28 days at about 4,000 PSI. And so you can save a lot of money if you just get the cheap old regular concrete. And yes, I've done posts with both regular and fast setting concrete. I've used about 75 bags of fast setting concrete that I bought from, I think, Menards or Lowe's. And then I recently bought, I think it was about 30 bags of concrete that I got from Lowe's, just a regular concrete. And the regular concrete Quikrete, not the fast setting kind, worked great. In fact, I didn't even pre-mix it. I just poured it into the hole as the dust and the concrete and the gravel and stuff. I poured in water. I didn't even measure the water, but I probably should have. I mixed it up, with just like a hand shovel like this. And I kind of stabbed it with like a little metal kind of rebar kind of thing like this and moved it around to help the water penetrate. And guys, the next day that concrete set great. And I was able to, start assembling the mesh the next day. Regular concrete holds a post upright just fine enough, unless you have like hurricane force winds, that post shouldn't be moving anywhere. So anyways, I hope this video has been helpful for you. Hopefully it gives you a little ballpark of like how much a fence might cost. For most fences, I would say you're looking at probably $1,000 to $2,000 if you go on the cheap, and if you're enclosing a backyard, if you're doing a really high quality or a painted fence, you might be looking at $2,000 to $3,000. If you're going to fence off a large portion, a really large, half-acre yard, you might be looking at closer to $10,000. So it really ranges and varies on a lot of variables. How many posts you have, how many terminal posts, how many gates you have, things like that. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you next time.